Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah and day 3 of the card making countdown for 2025, where I'm sharing 14 card making templates with you in 14 days. Today we are making Z-fold cards. These are a really nice way to make interactive fun fold cards. When it comes out the envelope or presentation box, it will look like this. Although, of course, you could have whatever extra decorations on there you want. I've just left mine very plain to show you the idea. And then it opens up and you've got a card with all of this dimension. It's really pretty across all of those sides, and it has some optional tabs that sit in this space here for if you want to add some extra embellishments. For instance, you could stick some little toppers in here to make a tunneled effect as you look through them. And I'll show you how you can add a message panel to the back to make it easier to write on. Today's download comes with this blank Z-fold template that you can customize with your own papers and toppers and embellishments to make it suitable for any occasion or person that you want to make it for. And it also includes a pre-designed version of a carol singer design so you can get a head start on your Christmas cards. When you open this up, it's like you're opening the door to those carol singers inside. It's got loads of depth in it, and this is what I meant by adding little toppers to those steps inside. If I turn it upside down, you can see that's held in with those tabs, exactly the same as on the blank one. And this is such a lovely card. It really makes me smile with those little faces that you see as you open it out. So, what are you waiting for? Head on over and get the download. One thing I will say though, before we jump in, is that these end up being 5.75 inches square, so they will fit nicely in a 6x6 envelope, or of course you can make your own envelopes. But if you're making the carol singer one, or depending on what you put on your blank one, they do end up fairly thick, so you'll need to bear that in mind when making or getting an envelope. You may be better putting them in a presentation box. I have some free SVGs for both custom envelopes and presentation boxes available on the schedule page for the card making countdown. All of those are free and come with full tutorials on how to make them and how to size them for your card. I'll also drop the links to those in the description below this video. Now we really are going to get started on the project. The files for this project are free for the next 24 hours. Here's how to download them. Register a free ticket for the card making countdown at craftwithsarah.com/cards25. After registering, you'll get an email which contains a link to the schedule page for the countdown. Visit the schedule page to find and download today's files. Each download is only available for free for 24 hours after it goes live. If you've missed some, check out the Instant Access Bundle at craftwithsarah.com/cards25 bundle, which gives immediate and ongoing access to all of the files from the card making countdown, plus loads of extra bonus designs. The download comes in a zip folder. You need to unzip this before uploading the SVG files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the SVG file into Cricut Design Space. Open up Design Space and start a new project. Go into Upload over on the left and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find the file on your computer or drag and drop it in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of your download folder. Within there are separate subfolders. There's a folder which contains a PDF link to the instructions, and then there's Z-fold Carol Singers and Z-fold Template. For the first part of the video, we'll do the generic template and I'll show you how you can design your own cards, and then after that, in part 2, we'll look at the Carol Singer pre-designed card. So we'll go into Z-fold Template, and within there, look in 01 Cricut version. If you're using a different type of cutting machine, head to craftwithsarah.com/help, choose your type of cutting machine from the list on the screen, and then there'll be a separate tutorial in there on how to choose which file for your particular type of machine, as well as how to use my files in your machine software. But as I'm using a Cricut for this video, I'll go into 01 Cricut version. Then it's real simple because there's only one file in there, and it will start SVG-01. drag it in, and this is what it looks like. Press continue, and then upload. And that will upload it straight onto your canvas. The file should load in at 12 inches wide and 10 inches tall. If yours has come in differently, then change it to match those measurements by typing in the width and the height box. There are a couple of things we need to do before this is ready to cut out. The first of these is to format the score lines. At the moment, you can see lots of these blue shapes have got vertical lines down them. At the moment, the Cricut would cut those lines, and we don't want it to do that. We want it to score them instead. So first, click the design and press the Ungroup button at the top of the Layers panel. That separates out all of the layers. Click away and have a little look in the Layers panel down the right side. You can see that there are some pieces in here that have a little arrow next to them on the left in the Layers panel. That indicates that that particular shape has score lines that need formatting. Click the arrow to open up the group. This will consist of a grey-blue shape on the bottom and then some vertical lines on the top. Click the vertical lines layer so you've just got that one selected. You'll know because it goes green in the Layers panel. Then, under the Operations menu, change it to Score. We're not quite done yet though. Although you can see this has now changed to score because the lines look dashed. It won't actually do it as dashed lines, but that's just how Design Space shows us on the screen that these are now set to score. If we were to cut this now, Design Space doesn't know that we want it to do the scoring on this particular shape. To tell it that, click to select the whole group, so you now see I've got the score lines and the bit underneath selected, and then down the bottom of the Layers panel, press Attach. Attach is the magic button that tells the Cricut to do the scoring on this particular shape. And then you would repeat for all of the other layers that have got score lines on them. For these two pieces down here, they are exactly the same as the one we just did. So you can either go into each one individually and format the score lines, or you can click one of the ones that hasn't been done yet, and then delete it by clicking the trash can icon at the top of the Layers panel, or by pressing delete on your keyboard, and then do the same for the other one. And then get the one we've already done, and press the duplicate button twice. And that will put those 3 copies back in. It's just a little bit quicker than formatting them individually. Look down the Layers panel, and there are 2 more rectangles that need formatting. So you've got this one here, click into the arrows, click on the vertical line, and this one is the one that goes under here on this thinner piece. Change this to a score line, click to select the whole group, and press Attach. When you attach something, it moves it to the very top of the Layers panel. You can see it up here now. That means we now can't see any of the other shapes that were on this piece. To move it back down, click on the layer, it might already be selected, and then press Arrange, Center Back. And now we can see everything else again. There's one more layer that we need to do, which we can see because it's still got the arrow next to it in the Layers panel and it doesn't say Attach yet. The way to tell which ones you have already done are that it now says Attach. So we've got this one left, which is our main card up here. Click into the arrow. Click on the vertical lines, change it to Score, click back, and Attach. Once again, that's moved it to the top, so we'll go Arrange, Center Back to put it back down to the bottom. That's now all the scoring done. If you don't have a scoring wheel or a scoring stylus for your Cricut, or if you're using a Cricut that doesn't have one of those types of tool, then there are a few other ways you can mimic the scoring effect. To find that, head to the schedule page for the card making countdown. On the schedule page, there's a box near the top of the page called Foundation Learning. Look down the list of tutorials in there until you see the one on how to do scoring without a scoring tool. Let's take a look at the other pieces in the design. We've got these rectangles in bright yellow and in red. These are intended to be cut from patterned paper, such as scrapbook paper. That's why I've done them in these real bold colours to make it obvious that they should be done a little bit different. You can then change the colours of the rectangles underneath them and the base card to match whatever papers it is you're planning to use. If you don't have any pre-printed scrapbook papers, you can print your own using the pattern fill feature in Design Space. Again, if you'd like to do that, head to the schedule page for the card making countdown, look in the Foundation Learning section, and there's a separate tutorial link in there on how to use pattern fill in Design Space. So that would allow you to add your own patterns or pictures on the computer and get them printed out and then cut around with your Cricut. But I'm going to be doing mine from some scrapbook paper. To change the colour of the other layers, simply click on them. And then if it's one that you've attached, like this one, you'll need to go into the arrow next to attach and then click the specific layer to change the colour of. Then in the colour box here, you can change it to whatever you want. For more colours, click the plus icon, and then you've got a little bit more options, clicking and dragging to make it whatever you like. To change the darker rectangles, you can either click on them, but sometimes it's a little bit tricky to click the right one because we can only see a little bit, or you can click it over in the layers panel. And then you can change the colour just like that. If you wanted to then change all of the other layers to that same colour, press Colour Sync on the top right of the layers panel. And that lets you click and drag and then put it into another colour and let go with the mouse, and everything that was that original colour will change to the new one in one go. I could also do the same for my other light pieces. I could drag them to that new aqua colour and they'll all change in one go. To add extra decorations to your Z Fold card, you can either do that in Design Space by uploading images and putting them where you want them to go, or you can use any pre-made toppers or embellishments from your craft stash, or if you have any rubber stamps, you could use those. You could cut photos, you could do pretty much whatever you want to decorate the card. These three little tabs down here, I probably should have mentioned this before we did all the scoreline formatting, but these are to add those optional steps in the side that I showed you at the start of this video. If you don't want to include them, click back to layers and then you can press the delete and that will get rid of them. Or if you just want to hide them for now so they won't cut out, you can click them and then group them all together and then click the eye to hide them. So if you're not planning on adding those tabbed bits into the middle of your Z Fold card, then you can hide those ones. But I will be doing mine, so let's put them back on. When you're happy with how everything's looking, press save and save your project, and then press make on the top right of the screen. I'm not going to save this one because it's just my test for the video. You can change the paper size in the drop down here, and then you can click and drag to move things about to make better use of your cardstock. One thing to bear in mind is that for the layers that will be cut from pattern paper, be careful about rotating any layers round, for example like that, because that might mean if you're using a paper that has a very obvious right and wrong way up, the pattern will now be the wrong way on this one because it will be displayed horizontally on your card. So if you turn it vertically, your pattern might not quite look right once it's all cut out. You can tell if your score lines are in the right place. If we go to a layer that's got scores, obviously the last one I choose, you can tell that that's all looking right because the dotted lines will appear where they're supposed to on the rectangles. And as you move the rectangles, it moves them along with you. For this particular card, you will need 12 by 12 inch cardstock to cut it at the original size. As you can see, this is taking up the full width of my cutting mat. If you're using a Joy Extra machine, then you'll need to resize the whole design smaller before you can cut it out in order to fit on your Cricut machine. If you're using the original Cricut Joy, you could resize this super duper small to cut on your machine, but it might end up being a little bit tricky to decorate. However, you could absolutely give it a try. When you're happy with how everything's looking, press continue to connect to your Cricut and get everything cut out from your cardstock, and then we'll see how to put together our Z Fold cards. Here are all the pieces of my Z Fold card cut out, and the first thing I'm going to do is glue all of the pattern papers onto their backings. I have cheated a little bit and done most of them before this video, so you're not having to just watch me glue a load of rectangles on. So these ones are already done, but I've got one to show you. I found that it was easiest to line everything up onto its backers before I started gluing, just to make sure everything was definitely on the right rectangle. I'm using Barely Art Glue, but I also like Kalau, and the reason I like both of these is they don't bend or wrinkle the card like some glues can do. And then turn this over and glue it to its backing. You could also use double-sided tape if you prefer. And then you would repeat that for all the rectangles till you end up with them all glued. Okay, next step, let's work on the card. Position it so that you've got the first score line, which separates two rectangles on your left, and then the score line down the middle will be on the right. Then you've got the big square of card there. The first score line we're going to mountain fold, and the second one will valley fold. And I find it easier to do the second one first because it's in the middle. So we're going to fold that upwards so that we're making a V shape, hence valley fold. Fold the card in half. And then if you've got one, go down with a brayer tool. And then the other fold, we're going to do the opposite. So we'll mountain fold it so the point goes upwards, so it ends up looking like a mountain. And then fold it in on itself so it concertinas in. And you end up with a square that opens up like that. We've got our first Z. Then take the long strip that will run along the bottom. Got this one here, and we're going to do it the other way around this time. So this time we want the longest bit on the left, then you've got your middle score line, then the score line that separates that into two halves. Once again, we'll do the same thing. Mountain fold the middle, so the first score line you come to, and then valley fold the second, so it's going inwards like that. Then you end up with your second Z. And then this will be glued to the front of the card. So that tab will be glued onto the front, and then half of the first bit will be glued to the front like that. Then you end up with this stepped effect with the square in the middle, and it will all fold in flat. However, before we do that, let's add in the optional tabs if you're using them to add in the extra spaces in here. Here's a little sample I made just to show. So this is how the tabs go in, and then you can glue extra things to them if you want to, but you can leave them out and it still works just fine. When you watch the second part of this video where I make the Carol Singer card, this card, I put these tabs in the most convoluted and complicated way. I actually glued this one first because I tend to record all my videos out of order and just work it all out at the end when it's being edited. And I made it so complicated, I got glue everywhere. So I'm going to try and do it a better way this time. So you're watching this one first, part one. So hopefully you'll see how to do it the right way and not the way that got glue everywhere. Alright, so we've got our 3 tabs. They've all got 2 score lines on them. With the first score line, valley fold it. So essentially, you're tucking it inwards towards you. And then the second one, we'll mountain fold it so the point comes up, which kind of means that you're tucking it behind itself. Some more little Z shapes there. And do the same for all of them. It's important to get this the right way round, otherwise your card won't open and close properly. Okay, next up, I'm going to put them in the card. So get your little Z, you've got the tab that's going towards the front. Add some glue or double-sided tape on here, and then position it so it's lined up along the bottom, and leave about the same gap size of the tab, because remember the back tab points the other way, so you need to have room for that there. Like that. When I did this on the Carol Singer card, I glued the whole card together and then tried putting these in, which meant I had to try and slot them into the square, and it just smushed glue everywhere. This is going to be easier, I can tell already. The next one in, I've left a little bit of a gap. Line it up along the bottom. And then the third one. Now we can attach this piece. So what I'll do is add some glue along a rectangle on the front, then along all my tabs, and then on the back of the far rectangle. Now if you want to, you could glue all your pattern paper bits before you start this. That probably would have been easier, but I've committed now. Fold it in and go in like that, and then that folds over. Line them up, and now I'm going to put my fingers in, get those tabs in place. If you look at it from the bottom, you sort of want all your tabs to be straight and perpendicular to each other and to the front, which mine are definitely not at the moment. I need to come way more in. Doesn't matter if they're a little bit wonky. There. That's those in there. That was much easier than how I do it on the Carol Singer one. You'll laugh when you watch it. I feel silly that I did it that way. But hey, that's how we learn. Okay. Check it all folds in nicely. And I should have waited for my glue to dry before I did that, because now it's all come undone. Stick that back together. Alright, so next up we can add all of our shapes. We'll have that one in there, and then one for there. There'll be one for in there. You probably won't be able to open it out completely straight now because of the tabs, and I just dislodged that glue again. I need to stop moving it until that glue's dry. Alright, do the big one on the back. I always say when I'm doing a countdown, there's always one project which turns out way more complicated than I plan, and lots goes wrong. And I think we're there. I think this is the one. And it's actually sort of bad that because I record things out of order, this is actually the first countdown video for this card making countdown that I'm recording, even though we're on day 3, and it's the one that's going wrong. At least I'm getting it out of the way, I guess. Then the other big one goes in the middle. Then the long one along the front. Which way around should I do it? I think that way. And then the two other ones on the other 2 tabs. At least it's turning out pretty. Makes all the stress worth it. Oh, I've probably stuck them the wrong way round to make the pattern repeat, but it doesn't matter. And there we go. There's my beautiful Z-fold card, all decorated. And now it would be ready to add maybe some little layer designs, or you could do some stamping, add some embellishments from your stash, whatever it is you want to put in there. And you could add some little toppers in here too. Completely up to you how to turn this from kind of the blank you can see now into something really finished and beautiful and unique. Folds flat, push it down there. Although one thing I think it's missing a little bit at the moment is somewhere to write the message on the back. Now, if you'd used a light coloured card, it wouldn't matter because you can just write on the back here. But as this is quite a dark card, I think it would be better if I had a white square on here to write my message on. So let's jump back into Design Space and see how to do that. Let's add a message panel for the back of the card. The card, when it's all folded up, is 5.75 by 5.75 inches square, so it will fit nicely in a 6x6 envelope. Because the back of the card is this whole size of this square here, we can make our message panels perfectly square to fit inside there. I want to add a white square to write my message on, and then a matching pink border around the edge. You can see this design here is the same as the ones we were looking at the start of this video, only the colours were changed before I cut out my design from the patterns of paper that you just saw. To add the message panel, go into Shapes and choose a square. And then you can close out of this by clicking the arrow. I still want to see a little bit of the purple around the back of my card, so I won't make this exactly the same size, but a little bit smaller. We'll go 5.5 inches, and then change this to my bright pink. So if you imagine when this is on the back of the card, it will sit on there like that, and you'll still see that little bit of purple. To make the white square to go inside, press the duplicate button, and change it to white. And then this one a little bit smaller at 5.25 inches, and that will be glued in there. Because I've already cut all this out, I don't want to do it again, so I drag a box around all of it, group it with the group button at the top, and then hide it by hovering my mouse over it in the layers panel and clicking the eye. Then I can press make and just cut out these two pieces. I've got my message panel and the matching mat ready, but before we stick those, you might have noticed in the previous clip I was having a little bit of trouble getting this to fold up really flat. And I think it's because when you score with a Cricut, it makes quite a thick score line, so when you fold it, it doesn't always end up quite exactly in the right place. But I've managed to correct that now so that it does fold beautifully flat, and all I did was I held it flat, pushed down that crease on the end, got my brayer, and just really forcefully went down the whole card like this, making sure you go right over these edge creases, and that just helped put everything exactly in the right position. And now it opens and closes much better. So if you're having that problem too, that's how you can help. If you don't have a brayer tool, then you could use a Cricut scraper tool to go down, or even a rolling pin from the kitchen would work great too. Much better. Okay, so turn it over and put the message panel onto the pink. And then, if I can ever pick it up, glue it onto the back of the card. Right in the middle. Like that. And now that will be much easier for me to write my message. And that's the Z fold template done. Looking beautiful. Now, if you want to go one step further, there is a part 2 to this video where I show you how to make this carol singer design that's included in your download folder with today's Craft Countdown project. It goes together in the same way, although I made it more difficult, as I said, with the tabs. So do your tabs like I did on this one, not how I'll show you in this one. But yeah, I've lost my train of thought now, just laughing at my own incompetence. Anyway, this is a lovely pre-designed card. Get a head start on your Christmas cards by making it now. When you open it up, it's like you're opening the door to the carol singers. They just sort of pop out and you see the whole thing. There's a little hidden Christmas tree in there, lots of pretty music notes, and it looks gorgeous on display. So here's how to make it. Here's the carol singer design loaded into Design Space, and once again I chose the one in the 01 Cricut version folder. The design as a whole should load in at 21 inches wide and 23.5 inches tall, so if yours has come in differently, then change it to match. We zoom out, you can see all the different pieces in this design. I laid them out separately on the page to make it easier to format all the score lines. One thing you'll notice when I'm putting my card together in this video is that these bits here, this one, and the tree, in the ones I've cut out are blue, but yours are going to show up as white. I had them as blue originally, but I think they're going to look a lot nicer as white because it'll blend into the snow a little bit better. And you'll also notice that your snow looks a little bit different to this one. Again, I'm just tweaking it a little bit so that it covers up some of those tabs a bit better. So yours will end up looking absolutely 100% amazing, whereas mine's more like 95% amazing. Alright, so we need to format the score lines the same as before, and this time there's one extra layer because the background is two. We've got a white underneath and then light blue. All of these pieces here, they'll show as a slight light grey on your canvas. I did that just to make them easier to see against the white background, but they should be cut from white. If it's easier, you can ungroup the layers and then go into one of those pieces and open up the tabs. Click on the very bottom one and change it to a pure white. But I just find that sometimes a little bit hard to see. But if you did want to do that, you can then press Colour Sync, drag all of the other slightly off-white layers onto your white, and then they'll all change to pure white. So it's just completely up to you. If you find that easier, then you can do that. To format the score lines, first ungroup everything, which I've already done, and then click into all of the layers that have that arrow next to them. Click on the vertical lines, change it to score. Click to select that whole group, so now I've got the bottom and the scores selected, and press attach. And work through it for all of the different pieces that show up with that arrow next to them in the layers panel, just like we did the first time. So in total, you'll do it on this one, this one, this one, this one, scroll down the bottom, then you've got this one and this one. Once you've formatted those score lines, you're good to go. Hit save so you don't have to do that formatting again. If you want to make more than one of this card, then press make and get everything cut out from your cardstock. I've now got all the pieces of the carol singer design cut out, and I've laid the layered pieces on top of each other in the correct order, following the assembly guide that's included in your download folder. To start, let's glue all these pieces together. I'm using Barely Art Glue, but any glue will do. I also like Kalau, and the reason I like these two glues is they don't bend or wrinkle the cardstock like some glues can do. Start with the tree. That's nice and easy. Now there are two trees cut out. Only one of them has got the star on the green piece, so make sure that's the one you're using here. And then glue the yellow star on top. The reason that we're gluing all these pieces instead of using foam squares is because the card has to fold up in on itself, and if we use lots of foam squares to add depth, it wouldn't fold up very well. However, I will use foam squares to put the wreath onto the front of the door, because that's the very front of the card, so that doesn't have anything that needs to fold on top of it. And do the door next. That's made up of 3 pieces. Got the darker brown at the bottom and then the lighter one. Glue these on first. You can see I had a little bit of problem with my card tearing on this one. It's a really fibrous card and the Cricut did not like it. Line them up exactly one on top of the other. And then you'll have a yellow rectangle. Turn your door upside down and add some glue so that it goes around the 2 holes for the doorknob and the letterbox. And then stick the rectangle on top. And because my glue's gone outside of that, I'm just going to leave it upside down until that glue's dry. Because if I tried turning it over on my work surface now, I'm going to glue this to my table, which I don't particularly want to do. We can prep the wreath though, ready for when that's dry. And this is 3 separate pieces, yellow on the bottom, and then the pink on top, or you might have done it from red. I find it easiest to line up by finding the bit where there's 2 holly leaves, and then you can match that to the 2 holly leaves on the one underneath. And the edges should exactly line up with each other, so it sticks on top of itself, like that. And then the green on top. It's a little bit narrow in places. And then same thing, I'll look for the 2 holly leaves, which are there, and line that up. That's the wreath done. Over to one side. We'll do the adult carol singer next. So the very bottom layer is this black one, and then we'll have the green for her coat, then the top of the coat, which is the one that's got the slit in it, and then the next black piece like that. So I'm going to go ahead and glue all of those in place. Next up is her face, and there's a tiny bit of white. It will look like a little semicircle. I've already glued this into place because I knew I was going to lose it. This goes on the back and it makes up the teeth, so just along the top. So glue it, just a little bit of glue above the mouth cutout, put that little oval in place and glue that on, and then you see it makes a top line of teeth, and then the black will show through to make up the rest of her face. Next up is the black for her hair, and then I'll do the book, which is that book piece, and her 2 little mittens. Finally, it's the hat. We've got a white bit first, then the green, then the white fluff for the front. It lines up along the top of the bobble, so you'll still see a little bit of the black hair peeking out the front. And that's our adult carol singer finished. It's got quite a few layers in her. She's a little bit heavy, but looking beautiful. Next up, we'll move on to the child. My layers have all come a little bit skew with here. Got the bottom. Then next up will be this one, then the black, and then the face. And there's nothing to stick on the back of the face this time. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. She looks a little bit weird right now, but once her hat's on, it'll be much better. Next up, I'll do the book and her gloves. And then her hat and hair. So we got a hair piece, and then just like the adult, these 3 layers of the hat. And there she is, looking lovely. Put the lid back on the glue for now. And now we can start the main card assembly. Select your 2 rectangular pieces and position them so that the square before the score line is on the right hand side, and then you've got the 2 smaller rectangles this side. We're going to valley fold along the score line, the second score line, and then mountain fold the first score line. Doesn't matter which way around you do it, but just make sure you get the folds the right direction. So let's do the second one first, valley fold. We're going to go upwards along that fold line like the shape of a V. So we're making a V shape looking like a valley, hence the name valley fold. Go over there, and this will essentially fold the card in half. If you've got a brayer tool, go down it to get a crisp fold, and then your front fold, which is the one down here, will be a mountain fold. So this time we're folding the other direction. We're going to put the point upwards so that as we're folding, it looks like a mountain. Okay, go down on there. So now we've ended up with this. So we've got our big square here, then our valley fold and our mountain fold. So the card will go inwards like that, and then you'll end up with a square. So that's how it will fold flat to go in your envelope. And then we'll do the same thing with the snow layer that goes on top. Mountain fold first, valley fold the second. And I've used textured card for this, which wasn't very smart because it makes it really hard to see the score lines. Mountain fold the other one. Next up, we're going to glue these on top of each other and they'll line up exactly. We did the folds first because it'll make it easier to fold up once it's glued. But for now, lie them out flat and glue the blue one onto the white one, making sure that the big square, when you've got it stuck together, is on the right hand side. Glue it exactly on top. Line up your edges all nice and neat. And then make sure it still folds in. Go down the brayer again. And now we've got our little stand-up card. Our first Z shape is done. And now we need to work on the bit that goes along the bottom. Next up, take the long white piece that looks like this. This has got 2 score lines on it. The first one, we're going to mountain fold. So fold it downwards so that the point reaches the top. And then the second one will valley fold, so the other way round. The point, the fold, goes at the bottom. Like that. So we've ended up with this kind of shape. Then this will get glued to the front of the card, but we're only going to glue the front bit here, this rectangle, and the last bit, which will line up against there. So those are the only 2 parts to put glue on, up to the score line there and up to the edge of the score line on the blue. So we got glue on that last tab, just up to the score line, and then on the white, but only down. If you imagine that rectangle going all the way to the bottom, you don't want to go any further than that. So this goes, just drop that in completely the wrong place. That one goes there, and this one will go line up against there. I haven't done a very neat job of that, I just sort of dropped it. Good thing about glue is we can wiggle it about. There we go. And then check it all folds inwards on itself, so you end up with the square around the edge. Then when it opens, it will do that. If you look at it from above, this is what we've got. So this is our second Z shape along there. Next up, we've got our 3 tabs, which will sit inside here, there, and that's how the carol singers will be added in. The tree at the back. And for these, we've got a left and a right tab. The left one, we're going to valley fold it, so fold the tab forwards like that. And on the other one, we're going to mountain fold it, so fold it backwards. It's important you get that the right way round, otherwise your card won't open and close properly. And then we've got the adult carol singer piece, the bigger one. Again, the one on the left is valley folded, so fold towards you. And the one on the right will be mountain folded, so fold that away from you, so it's going behind. And exactly the same for the child piece. One on the left, valley fold, so it goes upwards towards you. And then this one, mountain fold, so tuck it behind. And now we can glue that into the card, starting with the tree. When you're adding your glue, you're going to put it on the tabs that are now coming out the side. And quite a bit, as this is what will hold it together. So that side, and then that side. And then we'll line it up inside the card so that the tab on the right will go to the back, almost touching up. In fact, it can touch up against the back. And I didn't do that very neatly because I just smushed my glue all down the side. That was silly. Never mind. A little bit tricky. There might be a better way to do this, but it works fine. I'll hold it up in a minute so you can see it. So that's what we've ended up with. That's in there. And it will open and close with the card when that glue is dry. I'm not going to try opening and closing it too much right now while that glue's still moving about. I have not done that straight at all. Let's move that one down. We're sort of aiming for it to look straight and perpendicular to the other lines when you're looking at it from the bottom. Next up, this one. Double-sided tape might be better than glue for this, because it would be neater. You can tell when I'm concentrating because I go quiet and forget that I'm supposed to be talking. Okay, that's that one in there. And then the last one. If you find on this one the tabs don't quite reach, just fold your card in a little bit until they do. That's how it's looking from the bottom. And like that from the front. The tree does end up getting a little bit hidden if you're just looking at it from the front, but if you have it displayed on the side, it will show up. Do you know what? I've just realised I haven't glued the pictures on. I should have done that first. Oh dear. No, today has just been one of those days where nothing's really going right. Okay, so when I do the written tutorial for this, I will definitely say to glue the pictures on first. And that's the wrong one because this is the tree that goes here. I am not having a good day. The one with the star goes there. The one without the star goes at the back of the tabs, which is now going to be really hard for me to stick on. I bet you were watching this video like, why is she not stuck the pictures on before putting them in the card? You would be right. Okay, that's that one. This one goes on next. And then the child. Going to leave it up like that for a moment just for that glue to dry. While it's doing that, let's add the door on the front. There, and then you can either glue or use foam squares for the wreath on the front. I'm going to use a couple of little foam squares, pop it out a little. You don't have to, you can just glue it because this is a very thick and heavy card already. There. And then it will fold in, fold out. I'm doing it very gently because my glue is still wet. I don't want anything to come out of place. How cute is that? Now all we've got left are the music notes to glue around to show that they're singing, and you can put these in whatever order you like. I'm going to try and match it to how it looks in Design Space. So we've got a couple to go over this side. Got my purple, then a yellow. This is also a little bit tricky. And the red or pink. There we are. And the blue. Then on the other side, I've got these three. You can put them wherever you like, it doesn't really matter. Or you can leave them off if you prefer. Rather than hiding mine behind the tree, I'm going to put them right out here. One going over the tree. And that's all of those. Alright, I'm going to wait for my glue to properly dry and then we'll have a go at opening and closing it. And here's my card when it's folded up. And then it opens out like you're opening the door to the carol singers in there. How lovely is that? There's so many details and it is looking gorgeous. So there you have it, how to make Z-fold cards with your Cricut machine. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut card making ideas. And stay tuned for day 4 of the card making countdown coming tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!